Mazzaroth Hanukkah Decoded. Part 3. Welcome back, family. Day 3 of Hanukkah, according to the sun, moon, and stars. In our last video, part 2, we left off with the signs on January the 14th with the comet A3 Atlas at the head of Aquila the eagle. Now we're going to continue to show the rest of the signs for the 14th through the 17th. Again, we are on day 3 of Mazzaroth Hanukkah. Here we go, family. Let's dig in. So we're going to have to make this as fast as possible. There is so much to show, and I've got to try to get this all in this one video. This may take some time, but we're going to try to go as fast as possible through these signs. And if you have any questions, just put them in the comments, and we'll get those taken care of as your questions come in. So here we're looking at the first sign after the Atlas Aquila alignment here on the 14th of January. This morning at 9:30 a.m. we saw the alignment of Venus here in the water stream of Aquarius. And this is happening here with Saturn in the house and also Iris. And this can be looked at because it's Venus being an evening star. Again, we talked a little bit about how when Venus is a morning star, it's a representative of Christ, and when it's an evening star, it can be seen as a representation of the bride or the body of Messiah. Excuse me. I'm about 70 to 80% better through all this. I want to thank you again for all of your prayers. We're doing our best through this, but I still have a little bit of issues, so I may have to make some pauses. But again, thank you for your prayers. Without that, I don't think I would be as far as I am into this. So Venus again being a sign of the bride at this time, we can see how she is being poured onto by the Aquarian man, and this water stream can be seen as a anointing of the bride. And so this is a very important sign in Aquarius of the Venus alignment with the water stream. Again, a representation of anointing or a preparation for a wedding. This can be seen as a cleansing time. This can also be a representation of fasting and putting on the sackcloth and getting on your knees and praying and having the Spirit move through the body at this time. It's very important to be in prayer and looking into what the Father would have for us to do in these times. So this is a very powerful sign in the house of Aquarius, we have Venus in the water stream. So our second sign that we have on the 14th is a very, very powerful sign. We're going to have to dig into this one to truly dig out the meaning of this. We already saw in our last video the occultation of Mars. Now we're seeing the moon transition through the house of Cancer. And what we're going to do is we're going to show you an alignment with Meridian. And this is a very important alignment here because it goes directly through Persepe, and this is the manger or the beehive cluster. I'll let you do this on your own, but if you come into Stellarium, you can jump into this beehive cluster Wikipedia, and it will give you some information about the manger or the beehive cluster. And this area of Cancer is a very, very important part of the Cancer constellation. And without us doing a little bit of digging, I'm afraid that a lot of people just won't dig into the links that I put. And so I want to bring this part of the study out to make sure this is connected with the video. It's really important, detailed information that we need to dig into. And so I brought up some really important charts that we're going to look at next. We're going to go here into a study. And again, family, sometimes my computer is just a little slow. But we're here on Mazzaroth.com, and we're going into the Cancer star chart. And we're going to put the link in the video and allow you to come back. We're just going to point out some important things within this study. Again, I suggest everyone going to these links if you can and dig in, because there's a lot here, and it would take me 3 or 4 hours to go through all of the information here. But these star charts are really important, and what we're going to do now is we're going to dig into this part of the study. I need to be able to bring this part out because it's very important for us to understand how deep this sign really goes. So here we go. The constellation known as the Crab is on the meridian on March 15th. The zodiacal symbol represents the claws of the crab. Since its motion northward, then backwards to the south like a crab, it develops this name. About 2,500 years ago, the sun reached its most northerly position in the sky, called the summer solstice, when it was in front of this group of stars. On the summer solstice, about June 21st, the sun is overhead at noon at latitude 23.5 degrees north of Earth. This is called the Tropic of Cancer. Today, this position lies in the constellation Gemini due to the shift of the precession. This is the precession of the equinoxes. The astrological period called Cancer begins on June 21st. Tropic of Cancer, the parallel of latitude 23 degrees 27 north of the equator, the northern boundary of the torrid zone, and the most northerly latitude at which the sun can shine directly overhead. The crab has two claws by which it grasps something and holds it firmly. And it also refers to the things with hard shells. Now, here's a really important part of this study. Egyptians' name for this constellation of Cancer is Claria, meaning the folds, the resting places. The seventh day of Cancer was God's day of rest. Rest, Hebrew, menokon, or menucha, feminine of Hebrew, manowak, manoah, thus meaning rest, repose, resting place. Also see Hebrew nuah, manuah, peace, quiet, anupasis or katupasis. It is used of God as resting from his work from Genesis 2:2, Hebrew Shabbath or the Shabbath, a primary root to repose or desist, and as having his rest in the temple. 1 Chronicles 2:8, the Hebrew menucha. God commanded that the seventh day was to be one of rest. Exodus 16:23 and 31:15. The Hebrew Shabbathon or the Shabbathon, from Hebrew Shabbath or Shabbath from Hebrew Shabbath, intermission, the Sabbath rest or special holiday. And that the land was to have its rest every seventh year. Leviticus 25:4. The resting places from the Holy Bible, from Chronicles, 2 Chronicles 6:39 through 42. Now therefore arise, O Lord, into thy resting place, thou and the ark of thy strength. And Isaiah 32:18, and my people shall dwell in a peaceable habitation, and in sure dwellings, and in quiet resting places. Now again, this is all pointing to this place in Cancer that we call Prosepe, the fold of the flocks from the Holy Bible. Figuratively, Israel and the church are counted as flocks, and God is the good shepherd. Isaiah 40:11, Matthew 26:31, Luke 12:32, and 1 Peter 5:2 and 3. The fold in the Old Testament Hebrew is naveh, or feminine navah, at home of God, temple, prepare an habitation. In the New Testament, all or ale, from the same Greek aer, as open to the wind, by implication a mansion, a court, a sheepfold, a hall, or a palace. Isaiah 69:9 through 10. We're going to let you go through this. We're going to try to save some time here by just pointing out the folds of the flock. This is a place where the herds lie down. In Ezekiel, again, we see fold and flock. In Habakkuk, we see the flock. In John 10, we see the fold. This is the fold of the shepherd. And in Syriac, Cancer's name is Sartano, which means the one who holds. The Romans related Cancer to the noetic forms con, which means the traveler's resting place, and cur or sur, which means embraced or encircled. Thus, concer or cancer, the Romans used it meaning the traveler's resting place for the encircled or the embraced. And if we go down here, we can see the star names of all of the Arabic lunar mansions, and we can see here the information about all of the stars that are in Cancer, and we're going to focus here. I could suggest you reading through this, but we're going to focus on the star clusters of Cancer. Prasepe M44, or the Beehive cluster, has 75 visible stars. The ancients thought that this cluster was a thin spot in the floor of heaven, and called the spot the gate of men, through which their souls descended to earth to be born, the multitude, the offspring, the innumerable seed. As God told Abram to look unto the heavens, and if he could count the stars, so would be the number of his seed. The church is the heavenly multitude kept by God. Later in this insert, we see the name Safina, which is a star name in Argo Navis, meaning the multitude. Remember, now Argo is the boat. Other information, one connected here to Capricorn, Al-Haim, or High Marine, which is Arabic for the kids or the lambs. Mal'alaf, which means assembled thousands. We are going to go into another sign in just a bit, but we're going to point this out really quick to see the connection with Prasepe star cluster and some ancient myths of Capricornus. Was the gate of the gods, the portal in the sky, which the souls of mortals passed after they died. I want you to remember that, because it's going to come into the connection of this sign in the Beehive cluster. So again, this is a very important sign. This is our second sign. One of the things that I noticed again is the moon at this time is again 99% in its phase as it makes this alignment. And if you watched my last video, we talked about the 99 and its connection numerically with rapture. So we're looking at the 14th at 1:20 Pacific Standard Time. This sign is just about to happen. It might even happen before I get this video loaded. So the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into the third sign, and this is asteroid Hebe, and we are going to be watching this sign in Capricorn. Now again, I just mentioned that we're going to be showing you a connection between Cancer and Capricorn. These are the gates of heaven, and we are going to show you how important this time is, and these signs being connected to not only our Mazzaroth Hanukkah, but to our escape of the bride. So let's dig in. Here we're looking at asteroid 2505 Hebe, and we're going to watch this connection as we go through time. We're going to watch this connection of Atlas and asteroid Hebe. So let's see here. We have a very close alignment. Here we're looking at asteroid Hebe and comet C2024 G3 Atlas making a close approach at the entrance to the temple in Capricornus. This is the temple of death or sacrifice. This is a very important part of the Cancer constellation. Again, we're looking at the portals of heaven. Now let's dig in. One of the things that I did not have pulled up because of the nature of my computer, it's been having some issues, so I have to close some fields and open some fields, but we're going to go to Strong's 2505, and we're going to take a look at this. This is important information for us to dig into. This is the Strong's alignment for 2505. This is Kalak, to divide, to share, to apportion, to distribute. This is to separate. We can see this as a division. This is also in context of honor or praise. We can connect this and go deeper, and you can look at the associated scriptures. One of the things that I saw in this study was its connection to the distribution of land to the tribes of Israel. Forgive me, family, my computer is acting up again. Even with just a couple pages open, it just is incredible problems for me. I'm doing my best with what I have, but I really need a new computer to do this work because there's so much that I just cannot do because of the issues I have with my computer. So forgive me, we are bringing out whatever we can with what we have. This was really important when I saw this. In Arabic, this means measure. Assyrian, it means possession. And this is really important with what we're looking at. Also, if you look here, right here on the right, for it was cruel, I will divide them in Jacob. And this was important because we're looking at the wedding signs for Jacob, And this was a very serious connection to this sign. We're looking at a time of the tribulation coming, and we're looking at a time of division. This is going to be a great dividing between the people. And the first thing we're going to do is we're going to look at Comet C 2024, and we're going to look next at the time that it enters the temple. So we're looking here at the comet entering the temple, and it looks as though we're looking at about 8:41 on the 15th. The comet enters into the temple in Capricorn, and we have Ceres is also there, and again we have asteroid Hebe that is making its close approach. And if we watch this comet, we can see that it makes a transition through the temple of Capricorn, and it comes out of the temple on the 17th. And again, we have Ceres and Hebe in the house of Capricorn. So we have to dig in a little deeper and discover what these signs are showing us. And the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go into Hebe. We've already dug into the codes of Atlas many times. What we're going to do here is we're going to show you how Hebe enters the temple after, and we have Hebe entering the temple here, and it enters the temple at the same time that Atlas is in on the 16th. This is essentially 10:30. We can say that Hebe is entering the temple of Capricorn on the 16th. And what we're going to do next is we're going to dig into the codes for asteroid Hebe. Here we are on our asteroid codes. We have our alignment with Comet Atlas. This is January the 15th. And we are looking at the codes for asteroid Hebe. Perfected Bride, Kingdom of God, Grand Rising, See Gates Be Open, Jesus Codes, Gatekeepers, Master Code, The End is Here, Ophiuchus, Archangel Michael. Again, for those of you who have been studying the Mazzaroth, we know that Ophiuchus is a dual sign. It is a representation of the Archangel Michael who wrestles the dragon. It is also a representation of Messiah, Christ, And we see here an alignment with Ophiuchus and Archangel Michael, pointing out that these codes have these alignments that are unmistakable. Now, recompense, apocalypsis, the fallen angels, under the sea, Trojan War, War in Heaven, 119. Again, 119 is January the 19th, the last day of Mazzaroth Hanukkah. Okay, fam. Now we're going back and we're going to look at the transition of Hebe through the temple. And I want you to take a very close look at how these things transition through the tabernacle or the temples, because these can be considered temples or tabernacles. And we have, again, for those of you who have been with me for a while, you know there's two temples, there's two representations of Capricorn. You have the front that is the sacrificial goat, and then you have the rear that is the resurrected fish. And we have a very, very important sign here representing resurrection, and we see how Hebe is leading multiple signs. We have Mercury now in the house, and we have an alignment of Hebe exiting the temple with the sun entering into the house of resurrection. So these are all very important signs. We see in the Mazzaroth very important signs pointing out what is happening in our time. You can't make these things up. This is all aligning in the heavens for the grand story, and we are witnessing the most important signs ever in history, and the majority of these things are coming to us as signs for the bride of the escape. And we are trying to bring these things out in a clear, concise manner as quickly as we can, but there are so many other things to dig into that it's impossible for me to bring everything out. So let's go ahead and move forward to our next sign. Oh, first, I want to go back really quick. I missed one thing with the Cancer sign. I'm going to connect this study into our link. This is a very, very important part of this study. I have connected this many times between my two channels. If you don't know, I also used to run Kaddish Culture. I've been locked out of that channel for some time now, and that is the reason I started Tabernacle of the Bridegroom. So, here we go in this study of Cancer. This is the Heavens Proclaim the Glory of God by Heaven Speak Blogspot. And one of the things that is important to point out is that Cancer is Messiah's redeemed possessions. And in this study is a very important information about what we are witnessing in this sign. And I'm going to attach all of this to the description, and I'm asking everybody to go in and to look into these things. And this is also attached in the last study that we looked at, but this goes a little deeper into the connection with this mythology, and this part is very, very important. I'm going to ask everybody to please go and read this mythology that is connected here, and you can also go into the 3 deacons of Cancer. This is all very, very important. These things that are involved in this sign are absolutely deep, and it's important for us to understand. I have pointed these things out many times over the years. If you're new, it's important to dig into each of these studies, because this is how we become aware of the magnitude of these signs, because there's so much deep star story that we need to be able to go in and start. If we haven't been doing these Mazzaroth studies, it's important to get in and dig into these, because they bring light to all of these signs with these asteroids and these comets and the planets and the sun and the moon. When they're in these houses, it's important for us to have all of this ammunition so that we can decode the signs in the heavens. So I wanted to bring that out. Again, we're going to connect this, and I'm going to ask each of you to come in and do this study here really quick. The beehive cluster in Cancer, also known as Prasepe, which means the manger. This manger is where 2 donkeys, Acellus australis and Acellus borealis, ate from. The gods Dionysus and Silenus rode these 2 donkeys into battle against the Titans. And remember who rode a donkey into the city before the great day of them putting down all of the palm fronds and the branches when Messiah rode into the city. There's a great connection there. But come back, please, and dig into this Heaven Speak blogspot study. We will connect it. We're going to close these things out because this creates problems in the rest of the research we're about to do. So let's go ahead and dig in to our next sign, the 4th sign. This is another highly powerful sign, and it's just gonna get deeper, family. These things are humongous when it comes to what we're looking at. This is the 4th sign, and what we're going to be looking at is the moon transitioning into the sickle of Leo, and there's some very important signs here in this Mazzaroth sign. We are going to be looking at a very important sign to me. As many of you know, I've been tracking Amphitrite for ever, along with Vesta, and these two asteroids helped me to determine that asteroids were absolutely involved in all of the heavenly signs. It wasn't just the sun and the moon and the stars, but it was the asteroids and the comets, and all of these things were part of a grand story, a a a great play in the heavens, and only one can make this happen. And we know that all through the Bible that we're talking about that the signs are up in the stars in the heavens, and we are going to connect the dots. We're looking at Amphitrite in the heart of the lion as the bride, the moon, aligns with the scythe or the harvest tool of Leo. And we're looking at a scythe. You can see here this is the from the head of the Leo down to Regulus, which is the king star. And Regulus was involved in the signs of the Magi when they were looking for the signs in the heavens for the coming of the birth of Christ. And this is a very important sign for us because the moon in Amphitrite in Leo is a message to the tribe of Judah. This is a message to the house of Israel, and we're going to dig in to what is going on here. So we have a time of the 16th at 8:55 or 8:56, and this is AM Pacific Standard Time. We're looking at the bride coming out of the house of Cancer, entering into the house of Leo, and going into the sickle of Leo. And it's important for us to understand these signs. On the 16th, we have the moon in the sickle, and then 8 days later, we have Amphitrite in the sickle. And this is another sign pointing to Hanukkah, because Hanukkah is an 8-day festival, and we have an 8-day transition of the moon from the sickle of the moon to the sickle of Amphitrite. And so I wanted to bring out the codes of Amphitrite. If you haven't been with me for a while and you're new to this channel, I've been tracking this asteroid forever because the first code alignment was Mary Magdalene. And as many of you know, Mary was the very first one at the sepulchre. She was there after the stone was rolled away. And if you are studied in the Essenes, Mary was a high priestess in the a very special order of the house of Magdala, and this goes into the sheepfold, and it also goes into the house of the fishes. And most of the Christian churches miss this type of information because this is held in the writings of the Assyrians, and the church has done an incredible job of hiding that information, demonizing a lot of the scriptures that come from the Assyrians, and a lot of that has to do with the dark church, the Roman church, that is the mother of, she's the mother harlot of the daughter churches, which essentially is the Christian churches. Even the thesis that was placed on the door of the Catholic Church by the Protestant Luther, it stated in those writings that the Catholic Church was the mother of the Protestant churches. And so we're not pointing a judgment on individuals, we're pointing a judgment on the corporate Roman church, and this is no different than what Paul did. We are talking about the beast church, and we are pointing that out because that is how these things were hidden. So let's go into the rest of the codes of Amphitrite: redemption, tribe of Judah, face of the lion, Gabriel the archangel. Again, Gabriel's the messenger. The black swan. Again, if you did not see my last video, we were talking about the black swans that were the brides of the eagle. Milky Way. Again, the Milky Way is the gates. Either the Silver Gate or the Golden Gate are all connected to the Milky Way. A reset plan. The Red Dragon. Star Wars. Planet Mars. Now we see a connection to all of our Mars signs. Zodiac's a clue. Again, the zodiac is the Mazzaroth. Hebrew calendar. We are looking at the Hebrew calendar aligning with all of these judgment signs. Many are thinking that the Hebrew calendar is aligning with all of these blood moons and all of these eclipses, and they think that is a positive sign, but it's actually the opposite family. These blood moons and these eclipses are signs of judgment on the tribe of Judah for their lack of recognition of their time that the Messiah was here, and they continue to deny who Christ is. They're looking for the Messiah to come, and I believe that they are going to set up the world with the Antichrist because they are still looking. They have not noticed their time of visitation. So we know who the red dragon is. We know what's going on in the stars, and the planet Mars is pointing us to a time of war. The Mazzaroth is also pointing to a time of war. The Hebrew calendar is also pointing to a time of war. The Jews are in the middle of a battle, and we see the Star of David. We are being pointed to a time of judgment on the house of Judah. And this is pointing us to that time, and we need to wake up to these signs in the Mazzaroth. The heavens are pointing us to exactly what's going on. There's always a dual sign in all of this. We can see this as a harvest and a bride sign, but we can also see this as a transition into tribulation. Okay, now we're going to move to the fifth sign, which is Mars opposition. So let's look up Mars opposition 2025, and we have Mars at opposition today, on the 16th, which is the day that we're looking at here after the signs of the moon and Amphitrite. So we are looking at a Mars opposition January 16th at 117 General Mountain Time. I want you to notice that is a 7-11 code. That is going to happen January the 15th at 8:17 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and that is going to be 5:17 p.m. January the 15th. So this actually happens before the sign of the moon and Amphitrite, and I was looking at this January 16th General Mountain Time, the 7-11 code. So I wanted to point that out, and I wanted to dig into a scripture really quick. And I believe that we are seeing a transition to this sign in the heavens. And here we are on Daniel 12:1. At that time shall arise Michael, the great prince, who has charge of your people, and there shall be a time of trouble, such as never has been since there was a nation till that time. But at that time your people shall be delivered, everyone whose name shall be found in the book. Now we know that Daniel is the writer of the scriptures that are tied to the Mazzaroth and the Magi, and we know that we as modern Magi, we are here to dig into the signs, and we are looking for the coming of Messiah. It is no different than the time of the Magi, and we're looking at a possibility of this Mars opposition being our match for Michael standing up. Now, I look at Mars as Michael, and the reason is I have seen entirely too many signs in the Mazzaroth pointing to an ancient understanding of Mars as the war god. A lot of people are looking at Mars as the red planet as an evil sign because it's red. It might be associated with the devil, etc., etc. But Mars is known as the war planet, and the archangel Michael is the warrior angel. And all of the signs that I've seen in the Mazzaroth point to uh, Mars being Michael, and I wanted to show you a very important sign that happens in Mars. And if we look at the 16th as opposition, this is when Michael stands up, then we have a 14-day period where Michael transitions to Pollux. And this is a very important sign that I found in the Mazzaroth because when certain planets make alignments with these houses, if the sun is not there, then they can be manifested as these heavenly signs. So when Mars makes its alignment with Pollux, we can see that this can be Michael as the bridegroom, protector of the bride. He has taken over the position of the bridegroom. Remember, Gemini is a dual sign. It can be seen as these two brothers, but it can also be seen in the ancient manner of the bride and the bridegroom. And so here on the 29th, we see Mars aligning with Pollux. And when I saw this, forgive me, fam, I got a scratched throat. Mars can be seen as Michael protecting the bride and standing up as our protector. This is 14 days inclusive, and the alignment happens at 5:18. Let's take a closer look. Actually, it looks like it's closer at 5:21, and we have our alignment on the 29th at 5:21 of Mars and Pollux. And I believe that this sign between the opposition, because this is the opposition of Earth. Mars is at opposition to the Earth. And if you study what opposition is, it's as if Mars is the right hand of the Earth. And this, to me, was Mars or Michael standing up. And it has powerful connotations of the protection of the bride. Okay, now we're going to go into our last sign in the Mazzaroth. This, again, is a very, very powerful sign happening during Hanukkah. And we're going to be looking at Mercury, and we're going to be looking at Mercury's alignment with the tabernacle again. And if you remember, we had an alignment of Mercury on the 11th, and it happened in the evening as Hanukkah was beginning. And that to me was a great, great sign. And this is also a very important sign to me. We're going to get this up so you can take a look for yourself and you can see. We're looking at, it looks like it's between 232 and 233. We have the alignment of Mercury with the backside of the tabernacle, and you can see from noon key out, you see the line that goes out. It's connected to the wing of Sagittarius, but it is the connection to the rear of the tabernacle. This is where the planets and the sun and the moon exit the tabernacle, and then they enter into the protection or under the wing of Sagittarius. And so we have a alignment. Now remember, Mercury is 88. It has an 88-day cycle around the sun. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun, and Mercury is considered Gabriel, the messenger. The messengers were always kept closest to the king in case the king had to send a message to somebody else within the kingdom or outside of the kingdom. The messengers were right there, ready to do their job. Now, one of the things I was going to bring out in this video is an image that I broke down of the actual tabernacle in from the Bible, and I show how Sagittarius is an actual breakdown of the tabernacle. And I'm going to have to bring that into a video tomorrow, and that because it's so much time just to do that, and I have more stuff I need to bring out, and we're already over an hour, and I don't want to go much further. So the first thing that I want to do is I want to point out that the magnitude of Mercury at this point is 0.38, and that is an 888 sign. And again, Mercury is an 88-day circumference around the sun, and Mercury is our messenger. It is pointing out a message to us, and we still have the sun in the constellation, and we also still have Apophis is still inside of the constellation, and we also have Herculina that is still inside of the constellation, and we're looking at the Mercury alignment with the tabernacle, and we have this alignment happening on day 6 of Hanukkah, and this being our 6th sign. It was crazy how these things were just aligning. It's too much. We have we have a lot of things that are pointing to a very, very important thing happening on the 17th, and I wanted to bring all of these things out. We're going to come back tomorrow, and we're going to dig into the signs that I broke down of the the tabernacle, and how all of those things point to our time right now. And the signs in the Mazzaroth are matching so perfectly that I'm having a hard time, because uh, it's highly emotional for me. These things are unmistakable, and I did not uh, I did not think that it would get this crazy and this deep. So I want to thank you all for coming. I really need help sharing these videos out. I'm getting heavily shadow banned. I don't believe that um, I am having the proper uh, spreading of this to even my subscribers. I'm having really weird things happen on YouTube. It seems as though every day I get all these subscribers, and then they just, at the end of the day, they disappear. I'm right back to the numbers that I was at before all these people signed up. I don't know if, because my work is on uh, the precipice, if some people are offended by some of the codes or some of the things that I bring out, but I just don't see, based on the the things that are brought in the comments and from the amount of thumbs up, etc., that I should be having all these people unsubscribing. So I think that it's a YouTube thing that is being uh, done to my subscribers. So I'm going to ask you all to make sure that you continue to check that you're subscribed to the channel, and to keep checking back in. And then also I'm going to ask for help to spread this message out however you can. It's very, very important that these things get out to the body of Messiah, and I believe that I am being attacked, and that this message is being hindered, and we need to work together to get this out as quickly as possible. Thanks for coming, family. I will see you again tomorrow, if we are not already in the house of the Father. Thanks for coming. Much love.